Well, it's been 4 weeks since my last outing. I've been sick a lot. It's February, so that's when I'm at my lowest. That's when your vitamin D levels are at their lowest, at the end of winter. And that's why in the Netherlands we have this flu epidemic every year between January and March. Hardly anyone makes the correlation with vitamin D, but I think there is a very strong case for vitamin D deficiency in winter. So I'm taking lots of vitamin D, even more than I used to, with magnesium and K2, which acts synergistically to up your active vitamin D3 levels. And this is mainly thanks to people like Dr. Burke and Rhonda Patrick and some other physicians that are active on YouTube. And I have to say they're right. But anyway, this is not a vitamin D3 story. I'm just out here in the forest again, exploring a new area, playing with my DJI Flip drone, making some selfie shots, and using my limited energy to enjoy nature. And I'm now here at a very interesting area. This is a place where a lot of trees have been damaged, and I think this has to do with the cattle that are active here. I think the cattle and maybe also horses are gnawing at the tree bark. Have a look. Everywhere you can see these damaged trees. And if you're a horse and you lift your neck up and you stand up a little bit, that's how high you should get. And these are, let's call them regular horses. Not the Konig horses that we have on the other side of the road, but regular domesticated horses. So I think they have to reduce the number of horses in this area. I think these are all teeth marks. So maybe the horses are hungry and they are gnawing at the tree bark to get some extra nutrition. But this forest looks very unhealthy. You can see all these damaged trees everywhere. And if you remove too much tree bark, the trees can die. They can no longer protect themselves from frost and bacteria and viruses and such. So that's interesting. Of course, it's me and it's winter, so I'm also looking for badger trails, badger sets, deer, well, anything really. And this is another one of those beautiful areas with lots of hazel trees, lots of food. So maybe we can spot something interesting today. Lots of manure, lots of cattle and horse activity. And of course all those hazel trees. So another great badger area. So this is where a lot of the cattle and horses cross. And here we arrive at a very nice open area, which remains open owing to the grazing activity of the cattle and horses. And this is how you maintain a varied landscape. You've got grazers keeping the open areas open. And here you can find herbs, all sorts of plants that do not grow in a wooded area. You may find rabbits and hares which like open spaces. So you get a lot more biodiversity by introducing grazers in areas such as this. Right? So you get patchy forests, you get some reed grass and wetlands, some thicker forest in the back, and all these places form habitats, form little niches for plants and animals to live. And so you can find a lot of species over here. But of course it's winter, so it looks a little dead right now. But if you come here in May, it's beautiful. I'm always surprised that every time I go out I can find new places to explore. And this is all my local forest, but this is 4,500 hectares of forest. So that means that this is the largest deciduous forest in the Netherlands and one of the largest in Europe. Even though it's all planted, it's still a very nice open space where you can run around and have fun and explore. I always like this area, these little lakes, the reed grass, which is typical for this marshy province. Oh, I'm so happy. It's been almost a month since I last was able to go out into the forest. So maybe my vitamin D supplements are working. And even though I only walked a mile, I was so happy to be able to go out again on this beautiful Saturday in February. Absolutely amazing. And now this is really relevant because a lot of people are suffering from post-COVID, long COVID, whatever you want to call it, post-Lyme disease, as am I. My wife has chronic fatigue syndrome. She's had this for over 20 years. There are people who've had Q fever and are still ill. Millions of people around the world are chronically ill. They have chronic fatigue and POTS and all sorts of nastiness. So it's so important to recognize this and to do something about it, to look at vitamin D3 supplementation, to establish clinics where people can get help, to continue the research. But no matter what illness you have, if you are disabled, you really appreciate the small things in life. As I appreciated being out here for maybe half an hour on this beautiful day. Now I have to go home and rest for the rest of the weekend. To compensate for this half an hour walk, but I was so happy. I'm so happy that I was able to do this. And a few years ago, I would exercise 6 times a week. I would do, I would lift weights and ride my mountain bike, and it was never enough. I was never happy. I always needed to exercise more. I needed to work more, and even exercising 9 hours a week wasn't enough for me. And now I would be happy to be able to exercise for an hour. I mean, I've not exercised in almost 2 years, so that is the gift of illness, right? You do start to appreciate the small things in life, what people call mindfulness. Everybody who is coping with fatigue or illness, I hope you will recover and that you get to enjoy life again. And just try to appreciate the small moments like I did just now. These small moments in life really matter. Wow, that was amazing. My son and I just saw a buzzard on the edge of the forest. And of course, a buzzard is a very common bird of prey, but you can find a lot of these buzzards over here in the Netherlands in the midst of winter. And because the leaves are so bare, the trees are so bare, you can spot these buzzards easily. Now they're pretty shy, so you have to slowly approach them by car. And then you open the window, or you make sure that the window is already open before you
are too close. And then you can use your telephoto lens and make some nice photos and videos of these fantastic birds. Je hebt mooie foto's gemaakt, hè Bram? Zeg maar yes.
Yes.
Yes. We made some nice photographs and my son is very proud. We came here to look for kingfishers and we didn't find any. But then we saw a buzzard and we also saw a roe deer. And it jumped over the water once it spotted us. But we managed to take a few quick shots of it. And this is something you can do in winter or when you're not very healthy like myself. You just drive around in your car and you stop here and there alongside the road. And you see some deer, some birds of prey. Amazing. High five, Bram. Yes. Well, this day is just getting prettier and prettier. We just saw two small deer. Some small dark brown deer. Oh, daar rennen ze nog. They're still standing there. And usually they're very shy, but they're still standing here. They're still standing here next to us. And my son and I were able to make some very beautiful photos and pictures, a video of these amazing deer. And they're very dark and you don't see them that often in the forest. But they're just standing here grazing. And they're a bit shy, but not too bad. And my son is still photographing them. Amazing. And these are fallow deer and they're very young. I think these are fawns from this year. Or from last year, I should say. So they're maybe less than 6 months old. So very young, dark fallow deer. And you can see that they're fallow deer from the tail, by the tail. Roe deer, they don't really have a tail. They have a white little bun on their butts. But these have these dark black tails. So these are definitely fallow deer. So that's a beautiful find, beautiful experience. Such a magical moment to experience together with my 7-year-old. Even kijken. My son is not satisfied. He wants to get closer to the cows, the Highlanders. Like father, like son. It's never enough, always more, always having to get closer. We also checked out the local ponds for newts and frog spawn. Een stekelbaarsje. Despite the warm weather, we couldn't find anything. Meanwhile, in our backyard, the magpies were defending their nest against inquisitive crows. The first early spring flowers had also popped up, and the bees were gratefully visiting them. Spring has finally arrived.